everyone. I think we are live. Can you guys hear me and see me? Just give it a minute here. Okay. Welcome everybody. I hope you guys can see me and hear me well. I'm in Central Florida, but believe it or not, it is the rainiest and cloudiest day ever. So hopefully you guys can hear and see me well. If for some reason at any point you can't hear us, please go ahead and let us know so we can address that. So I want to welcome you all and thank you guys for joining us for this segment. Welcome back to some of you, because some of you joined us for our Passover segment back in April. And that was a lot of fun, and we got a lot of positive feedback on that one. So we are back today with the gang, and we have some new people as well. And we are doing a Shavuot wine and cheese tastings. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys, if you guys saw when we advertised it, I hope you guys grabbed your own mini cheese platters and wine and are joining us together with your platter as well, so we can do this all together. We are, let me see, everybody's on. All of my friends are here. I'm going to introduce you all in a second. Hi, Kathy. Thanks for joining us. People are starting to join us. Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and just say again, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. I am Raquela, and I am the Vegan Maven online, and I am also the co-chair of Jewish Veg's DC chapter. And for Shavuot, if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, we would have had a Shavuot event. So in lieu of that, today we are gathering to share our Shavuot traditions with you guys and share our cheese and dairy, our vegan dairy favorites, because as you know, Shavuot has become a holiday connected with eating dairy. But if you are vegan, how do you go about that when you're not eating dairy? Don't worry, it can be just as much fun and just as delicious. And today we're going to be sharing with you our favorites and some of the tips and tricks when going vegan with vegan dairy. Before I jump into that, I just want to say a little bit about Jewish Veg. If any of you are new here and haven't joined us before, Jewish Veg has been around for about 45 years, and we are the Jewish voice of the plant-based movement, which is the fastest growing movement in the world right now. And our mission is to assist and inspire the Jewish community to embrace plant-based lifestyle, plant-based diet, and a plant-based lifestyle in accordance with our Jewish values of kindness and compassion. And some of the ways we do that is through our chapters. So Jewish Veg has 3 chapters: New York, DC, and LA. And today we're actually joined by some people from our New York chapter. So that's going to be very interesting. Hi, people are coming in, sorry. So some of the ways that we do that is by, Jewish Veg has a lot of programs as well. There's a vegan birthright program that is amazing. It's the only vegan birthright that exists right now. They also do a lot of advocacy programs, such as programs to inform the Jewish community that the practices such as kaparos are cruelty to animals, and that there's another way to celebrate that practice without doing cruelty to animals. So in lieu of what we would have done with our chapters, with our DC chapter or any of our chapters for Shavuot, we are here today doing a live segment with you all. So we hope all of you will join us and ask your questions and interact and share your Shavuot traditions with us while we share ours with you. So before we jump into the delicious platters, I want to jump into a little bit of the background of Shavuot. And for that, I'd like to turn to Rabbi Gross, who is joining us from the New York area. And he is going to share with us a little bit of the historical background surrounding Shavuot and kind of how it became known to be synonymous with eating dairy things, dairy products, and how you can celebrate Shavuot completely plant-based. Rabbi Gross, are you there? We can't hear you.
You can't? Oh, that's right. I got to, here we go. My mic is still muted.
No, I can hear you now.
Oh boy.
I can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Very good. Okay, I think I was clicking and then you, we were canceling each other.
Can you
Okay,
go ahead and first introduce yourself to our community and
sure.
share with us a little bit about the background about Shavuot?
Oh, sure. I'm Rabbi Don Gross. I'm known as the Vegan Rabbi on Facebook, the Health and Healing Rabbi, and I have numerous videos on YouTube that you, if you're interested in seeing the halachic, meaning the plant-based feelings that Judaism has had since its inception. A lot of people think that it's a new thing. It has nothing to do with Judaism, and quite the contrary. Judaism is deeply, deeply rooted in its philosophy on a plant-based ideal. And so my videos help you understand this if you need to come from a more traditional set of rules, okay? So the idea of Shavuot, there are ideas such as that the word chalav, which means milk, the numeric value or the gematria of that is 40. So the same way that Moses was up on Mount Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights, so it equals the milk. But let's take a more practical approach. Imagine your computer got updated overnight, like it was one of those Tesla things, where you had a massive update. And not only was it updated, a tremendous manual came that you're going to have to read through to figure out everything. But you have a really important email that you have to get at. So what you're going to do is you're going to log on and just figure out the most basic feature that you can, which is to get to that email and get off. You're not going to try to figure out how to do word processing. You're not going to have to, figure out how to use anything else. You're just going to do that. What happened to the Jews was that a series of laws, like 613 commandments, just came down on the mountain on top of them. They had all of these obligations and all these rules. They didn't know what to do. In fact, they got frozen. They said, well, who can we marry? Who can we, what can we eat? They really didn't know, because even to this day, the rule book on meat and how it should be slaughtered and the separation between milk and meat is a sizable volume. And many people who get rabbinical training or want to become ordained, they have to study that compendium. It's very, very large. They didn't have time to digest any of these rules. So what they did was they took the most basic foodstuffs that they had, that they figured were simple enough that they didn't have to read many rules about, and they consumed that. It was long before kasha and quinoa came about. And really, and now here's an interesting thing. I'm sorry, you were going to ask something? I can't hear you. No. I can't. I'm not. Okay. So having those limitations and those restrictions that they knew about, but they didn't know how to, how to slaughter. They didn't know anything other than the simple animal dairy products to consume. So that really is a logical, possibly more historic reason how at the inception, when they received all of these laws and they really didn't have a chance to understand them and learn how to apply them, they had to eat very, very simple things. And so therefore, to commemorate that, we today even eat milk products. But it brings up an interesting thing, because growing up in the New York Jewish area, we don't think in beans and rice. We don't think in terms like that. We have meat, we have milk, and then we have pareve. Pareve is in the middle, and pareve gets a short shrift. We don't really think, oh, there's nothing really pareve, right? We think only in meat and milk. And vegan is mostly pareve. In fact, it's all pareve. And so it seems to be an avenue less taken, a path less taken by religious Jews.
So, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I was gonna say, didn't it begin as a festival related to the grain? Like it was from the start, the end of the barley harvest and the beginning of the, wheat harvest, like a summer grain festival.
Right, but yes. So I think when we look at what the holiday is mostly about, or the origins of the holiday, it's the being at Mount Sinai, receiving the Torah, and receiving this 613 laws with lots of pages to read. Afterwards, when 40 years later, when they got into the land, it was the harvest time. And so people say it's the land flowing with milk and honey, and that's another allusion to this custom that we have. So there are about 4 or 5 different allusions to it. But as I say, it seems the historical reason or the historical rationale was they didn't know what to eat except for these more simple products.
And the word Shavuot, what does that mean? I mean, I'm a Hebrew speaker. It means weeks, basically.
Right. So from the second night, the second Seder of Passover, we begin counting. We have a series of counting 49 days, 7 times 7, 49 days. And on the 50th day, it was from the time that the Jews left Egypt till they arrived at Mount Sinai was a period of 49 days. What that symbolizes is when we were in Egypt, we were in a very, very dire situation, not only physically, but spiritually. We were like 49 floors down in the basement. Well, we had to come to the ground level and then rise another 49 levels of spirituality till we could receive the Torah. So it's the counting of 7 weeks. And that's the name of the holiday, the Shavuot, the festival of weeks of counting from the time of Pesach.
Well, I will say, and also we have another Israeli with us today, or you'll hear from her in a little bit. I will say in Israel, we do have a few other traditions. Like there's a lot of more veganism in it. There's a lot of greenery. For instance, like in Israel, we decorate our homes with a lot of greenery,
Right.
Shavuot, and we wear white. And there isn't that much of a focus on dairy.
Mm-hmm.
There is here, and even if we do, we might make something like a quiche. It's not always like dessert,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
So I find that that's interesting. Growing up, half of my life in Israel, there was a lot more of a feel like as a vegan. I wasn't vegan when I was growing up; I was vegetarian, but there was a lot more of that greenery and that connection to this is a harvest festival and the earth than I feel like they might be over here in the U.S. community or the diaspora community.
It is very interesting to note it's the cultures and where we came from and what we were fed and what our parents fed us, et cetera, and how all of the dietary practices just continue. What's really amazing about this time is that it's a time of change. It's really thinking differently. As I said before, I didn't grow up with rice and beans. It's so simple, yet it's taking a new path and an upgrade. And I think it's so exciting. So a lot of times people ask me, well, what kind of meals do you make that are the analog of the traditional meals? And truly for me, I'm creating new traditions. I don't need the foods to look like the transitional foods, the foods that I'm moving away from. That's just for me, and I respect when people want to make things that look like or taste like but rice and beans and potatoes, everything that grows from the ground is fantastic. So it's
because for me, because it is rooted in being a harvest festival originally.
right,
To me, I'm fine to do grains and things that remind me what
right,
it's
beautiful.
to prepare a meal, where my food comes from, and food is really nourishment.
That's excellent. That's actually, I love that blending of the true, the true aspect of Shavuot. And, Judaism is incredibly an agrarian religion, conscious religion, whether it's taking care of the earth, whether it's eating from the earth. And so, yeah, it's beautiful. You're absolutely correct, Shavuot. You just contributed to my understanding of it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And share with us some of the traditions how long have you been vegan?
I have been vegan now for 8 years, but I was vegetarian before that for actually in June. At the end of this coming June, it's going to be 30 years that I haven't had meat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what are some of the traditions that you've adapted for Shavuot and celebrating Shavuot since going vegan?
That's, I'm going to pass on that because I, obviously to have a beautiful meal, I was never, personally, I was never really into cheese, but there are certain.
It wasn't that different for you.
Yeah, exactly. I was never a cheesehead.
I hear you. I was never a big cheesehead either. In fact, I think that vegan dairy tastes better by
Yeah.
far.
Having said that, one of the big obstacles I had to get over was I did love ice cream. I was really into ice cream, and 6 or 7 years ago there weren't that many vegan ice creams, and it took me a while. But now it's like unbelievable.
Yes.
They're better than.
Vegan.
Yeah, if you just go to, Target has a series of vegan ice creams. They're amazing. They will melt your face off. That's how good they are.
So I guess vegan ice cream is one of your
Yes, yeah, yeah. But you got to treat it respectfully.
right. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's great.
You can hang in here with us,
Absolutely.
and I don't know if you've prepared anything to share with us.
I'll
Anything
listen.
if you haven't. I'm going to jump over to the rest of our gang and say hello to them and see what they have to share with us. Let me see how I can jump over to Maddie, Andrew. Are you guys there? Samantha? Or hi everyone.
Hi. Hi.
Hi. I don't see. I'm missing one person, I think. Or are you there?
Can you see me?
Yes, I can
Yes.
hear you.
Hi.
Maybe we just can't fit all of us in at the same time. So, hi guys, how are you? Happy Shavuot.
Good. How are you?
Chag Sameach.
Hi,
So
Sam.
let's dive into what you guys have to share with us today. If any of you have, I know I told you guys to kind of keep it in the fridge. Do any of you have your platter in front of you? Then we'll start with you. You do, Samantha? Okay, so let's start. Oh, great. So let's start with you, Samantha. First of all, how do you celebrate Shavuot? And then what are you, oh, beautiful. And then what are you sharing with us today?
Sure. Well, I celebrate Shavuot by having some vegan dairy, like vegan cheesecake, vegan cheese. I used to really like dairy, so I go in for the vegan dairy. I also spend time with family.
Okay, so what are you sharing with us today?
Sure. So this is my vegan cheese platter. Oop, there you go. So what I have here is this is Miyoko's Farmhouse Cheddar. This is Whole Foods brand Smoked Gouda. This is Tree Line's soft cheese, pepper flavor. There's some crackers, some fruit, and then I also have Nuttin' Ordinary, which is a new one for me. They're Italian herb, and they're also their cracked pepper, and Miyoko's soft beer garden cheddar. So I have a lot of cheese here.
Yeah. So what type of cheese do you like? Like, were you a soft cheese person? Did you like brie? Did you like what were your favorites?
I'd say soft cheeses, cream cheese, brie. Yeah, the softer cheeses were my favorite. And so that's why I have mostly soft cheeses on my platter today. And I like to, spread them on bread or dip them, crackers with fruit. And I think I'd say the sliced cheeses I like to use on sandwiches. Yeah, so that's generally how I use them.
How was Shavuot different for you since going vegan? Like,
Well,
what were the differences? And did you find it like difficult to be within your community for Shavuot?
yes, I'd say at synagogue the kiddush is always blintzes and cheesecakes and lots of dairy. So I actually became intolerant to dairy before being vegan. So when I was about 12, yeah, I stopped eating dairy, and then I always felt on Shavuos was the hardest time to not eat dairy. But once I started discovering all the great options, now again, similar to what you've said, I don't feel like I'm left out anymore.
Lovely. Okay. So, what are you drinking? That's my next question. What are you drinking?
Also, I have some red wine here that is vegan friendly and organic, our daily red. And then I also have, for those who keep kosher, I have a rosé called Terra Vega, which is vegan friendly and kosher. You have to check to make sure it says vegan if you want to make sure they don't use any animal parts in the process.
Nice. Very nice. Okay. So I'm going to let you go ahead and start digging into your platter. I'm going to jump over to Maddie and see what she has for us. And then in the end, we're going to hear everybody's favorites from their platter. That's okay.
Great.
Maddie, are you there?
Hello.
Hi, Maddie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. How have you been?
Pretty good. Just enjoying hanging out with my dog and cooking a lot.
Yeah, I see some of your stuff. You have a lot of good stuff you've been making recently.
Thanks.
So this is Maddie, and she is at the Jewish Vegan. And Maddie, tell us about your Shavuot experience, like growing up versus now that you're vegan.
Yeah. So growing up, I actually didn't celebrate Shavuot at all. My family just didn't really celebrate it. I moved to North Carolina when I was 12, and we weren't really part of a Jewish community there. So I kind of rediscovered Shavuot in college, actually like right as I was going vegan. So then it was kind of like, well, can't really celebrate this holiday. Don't know how to do this. And so it wasn't really until I got into cooking and baking really heavily that I was like, maybe this is something I can do. And this is really the first year that I've gone all out for Shavuot. I came up with a cheesecake recipe. What'd you say?
I was just going to say, by all out, what do you mean?
Yeah. So like you'll see in a second, I did this platter, really went all out with it. I created a cheesecake recipe. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do mac and cheese for dinner tomorrow. So just like really going all out with it, having a lot of fun. So yeah.
Okay. Show us your cheese platter. What do you have for us?
Yeah. So I don't want anything to fall, so I'm gonna be very gentle with it.
Okay.
So I have on here, I have 2 tree line cheeses. One of them didn't fit. This one's garlic and herb, and then this other one is scallion. And then I also have Violife feta, as well as Miyoko's, sun-dried tomato garlic cheese wheel. And then I also have like a bunch of other things on here, like tofurkey, turkey slices, and some like pickles and truffle almonds and chocolate and dates and a bunch of other fun stuff.
Okay. And what are you drinking?
Oh yeah. I am drinking some sparkling grape juice from Welch's.
Very nice. Okay. What type of cheese person are you? Did you like the soft cheeses? Did you like cheese sandwiches? Were you a pasta girl?
Yeah. I like pretty much all cheeses, honestly. The only thing I really would say I didn't like growing up was like really hard, smelly cheeses. But pretty much anything else I like. I really like cheese on sandwiches. I really like soft cheeses, cream cheeses. Really like stuffed cream cheese bagels. Pretty much anything. Yeah, love them all.
Cool. What are you most excited about on your platter?
Ooh, I think I'm most excited. I think I'm excited to try the feta because I've never had a vegan feta before. So that's going to be really new for me, and I used to love feta. So I'm excited to try that.
Okay, cool. So we'll let you start to dig in. I'll jump over to somebody else, and then we'll come back and see what you liked best.
Yeah,
Let's
sounds
go
good.
over to Andrew. Are you there? Hi, Andrew.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. I'm doing well.
So what do
Doing
you have for us today? And tell us also a little bit about your Shavuot traditions growing up versus going vegan.
Sure. I also didn't really have a big history of celebrating Shavuot. Only in recent years did I even know what it was about, and know that it had this connection to dairy. But a couple of years ago, I wrote this blog post or for Shavuot for Gather DC, and I ranked the best vegan pizza places in DC.
Oh, I read
And
that. Yeah.
have you? It's done really well, and for whatever reason, that's like become like a really popular blog post. But it's from 2018, so it's not totally up to date. But I remember when I was preparing that, I was really surprised to learn that, first and foremost, Israel is the land of milk and honey refers to date honey, apparently, which isn't even like bee honey. And then the milk part was confusing to me, since it's sort of like a stereotype that a lot of Jewish people can't digest milk too well. So I pitched renaming it the land of almond milk and honey, but I don't know if that's taken off.
I've heard actually an interesting thing about that. I'll just briefly say, I heard that the land of milk and honey, obviously the honey part referred to date honey, and Israel is overflowing with dates, obviously. But I heard that the milk part referred to and I think at some point we might want to jump back to Rabbi Gross to ask him if he knows anything about this. But I heard that the milk part referred to like the cattle being healthy and fertile, like the female cattle, like the moms. So flowing with milk and honey meant like overflowing with dates, and then you had like healthy cattle, which back in the day was the commodity money. But I don't know if that's true or whatever. But go ahead and show us what you have, and later I'll ask Rabbi.
Sure. Let me pull the computer closer, and mine's not as beautiful as the other cheese platters we've seen, but I've got Miyoko's sun-dried tomato, another Miyoko's English farmhouse. That sounds good. Tree line, herb garlic. I think this is that Nuttin Ordinary brand. Nuttin Ordinary plain cashew cheese, and Chow creamy original. And this is like my go-to cheese in general. Oh, that's really cool. Did you do that or did I do that?
No, the team did that. Michael did that.
Oh, cool. I thought maybe I was being hacked. So yeah, Miyoko's I've had a bunch of times before, although I don't know if I've had these flavors, and Miyoko's is just incredible.
They are, yes.
I mean, but Chow creamy original is like, that's my go-to.
Cool. And what are you drinking?
I am drinking, so I randomly discovered this. I've been ordering a lot of weird things since I've been doing a lot of grocery delivery lately, and I also just have no self-control, with so many food options in the house. I bought this. It is raspberry lemonade, and it's light because I think it's made with like stevia or something, and it is so good. I become addicted to it, and because it's sort of low calorie, I don't feel bad about drinking like the whole bottle in a day.
Show us again. Someone's asking. That looks amazing. What is that?
It's called Simply Light Lemonade.
Oh,
I mean, you'll see this in like any grocery store.
That's like cool to have like a cheese platter with lemonade.
Yeah,
Right.
it's really good. I've been kind of drinking this with like every meal pretty much. So no judgment.
Someone is asking you, did you grow up in the western part of the US too?
I did not, although I did live in LA for a couple of years. I didn't grow up there. I'm from Florida originally. So I did not grow up in the West, but I love the West.
Cool. So I'll let you dive into what you have, and we'll jump back and ask you what your favorites were in a sec. I'm going to jump over to Or. Or, are you with us? Hi. Can't hear you. Can't. I'm still not hearing you. Hang on just 1 second. No. No, are you guys hearing her? Is it just me? Can you hear me? No, we can't hear you. Let's try to fix that, and I'll jump back to you in 1 sec. I'm still not hearing you, sorry. Oh. Michael, Jody, are you guys able to get Or's mic unmuted? Unplug your earphones for a sec. No, still. Okay. Or reload your page. Try reloading your page. So we'll jump back to you in a second. I can go ahead and show you guys my platter. I actually will just take a moment to grab it. How are you guys enjoying what you're... Oh, can you hear me now?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thanks God.
So welcome. Thanks for being with us. So same question to you. What was your Shavuot tradition like growing up? And how is it different now that you're vegan? How long have you been vegan?
So basically I live in Israel. I'm a shlicha. I'm an emissary here in Manhattan. So I live here in New York temporarily, but I've lived all my life in Israel. And in Israel, the tradition of Shavuot is basically there are a lot of water fights in the streets. So I remember as a kid growing up in the neighborhood, we would schedule a time to meet by the playground, and then we would gather, we would play games like boys against girls, and we would, throw water balloons at each other. And this is what we did as kids. And later on, it became very trendy to go each Shavuot to visit a kibbutz or a moshav, like an Israeli village, and to see their festivals around agriculture, and of course, eating a lot of cheese and drinking wine. But since I became vegan, it was I'm the only vegan person in my family. I became vegan almost 8 years ago. And since becoming vegan, it was very important for me to show my family how, you can make vegan cheesecakes and vegan cheeses in general, and that it tastes as better or, as better as real cheese, and that sometimes they wouldn't know the difference. And in Israel, it really is a trend now to be a vegan. So there are so many options and so many different brands and so many vegan bloggers that offer really easy vegan recipes. So yeah.
It's more than just a trend. Israel is leading the world with vegans per capita. So yeah.
Yes.
It's something to be very proud of.
Yeah.
So what do you have for us today? What are you drinking? What's on your cheese platter?
Wait a second. it almost fell on the floor. I must say that me and my husband ate half of the plate already, so I had to go back to the kitchen to refill it. So I have here Violife feta cheese and Miyoko's smoked English something. I forgot the name, but it's like cheese on wheel. It has a very strong smoky taste. And this is some goat cheese that I made myself. And I have here some gluten-free chips, I guess. It's a new brand that I'm trying. It's called Snack Lines, and they're vegan and gluten-free, and they have a lot of good flavors, and some cucumbers and tomatoes. Yeah, that's my plate. Raquela, are you here? Or am I by myself? Okay, so I guess I'm by myself. So I'll just say that there are more than 250,000 people in Israel who refer themselves as vegan. And there are another 250,000 of people who are vegetarian. And by 2027, in 7 years from now, people are expecting to have almost 500,000 vegan in Israel.
Wow.
Yes.
Sorry. Sorry. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. We're good. Yeah, it's definitely taking off, and Israel is definitely leading the world in the vegan lifestyle and sharing inspiration and leading the way. I read recently in a travel magazine that they're listed, I think, number 2 or 3 in the world for vegan restaurants, like taste wise. And this was rated by just travelers in general, not just vegans. So that's amazing. So I will let you continue to munch on what you've been munching on. I will jump back to you in a little bit to hear what were your favorites. I'm gonna go ahead and share with you guys my cheese platter. And like I said before, I was not a big cheese person at all before going vegan. I didn't like mac and cheese. I know everyone's gonna be surprised. I didn't like, I'm not really a bread person. I'm gluten free. So I wasn't really that into cheese. However, growing up in Israel, there are 2 cheeses that I'm sure, or you can speak to this, that most Israelis don't live without, and that is cottage cheese. I was always about cottage cheese and feta. Feta cheese is a very Middle Eastern thing. So when I went vegan, which is like 10 years ago, I didn't really miss that much. But then I found feta cheese, and in my opinion, it tastes even better than the regular feta. So I'm going to share with you guys what I have here. Down. I don't know if you guys can see it. Can you guys see it? So I have here some feta cheese, real life feta cheese. I have here farmhouse chow. Is that how you pronounce it? It's the same one that Andrew mentioned. This, by the way, in my view, is a perfect dupe for Havarti. So if you were a fan of Havarti cheese beforehand, this is your, this is a dupe for it. Like I said, feta, and then I have the new Miyoko's farmhouse cheddar over here. I was never really a huge fan of cheddar, so this is, for me, so, but I'm sure a lot of people like it. I saw Miyoko's is doing this like cheese truck thing before the pandemic, and people were going crazy for it. I will say it does have a very mild taste, not very heavy. So if you were like a mild cheddar person, or you liked, a mild cheddar, this could be a good option for you. On my platter, I also have some Miyoko's cream cheese here. I'm just gonna put it out there now. Miyoko's is my favorite brand. It's, in my opinion, the best thing on the market. It's the cleanest. It's the least amount of ingredients. It tastes delicious, and it tastes, not so much like a dupe, but just like something creamy and delicious that you can eat or you can spread, and not like it's trying to mimic anything exactly. I also have here some jam. This is some like 4-fruit jam because I really like jam. And I have blueberries, strawberries. I have some nuts. I'm a big nut person. I also have some cucumbers because the crackers are pretty much just for the platter for show because I'm not actually going to eat them since they're not gluten-free. What I like to do is have cucumbers and then I'll spread either some cream cheese on it and then add olives, or I'll just eat the cucumbers with the feta cheese. So that's what I have. And I am drinking pomegranate juice because I am a non-drinker. And pomegranate juice has always been a favorite of mine growing up. And again, in Israel, I'd always go like in the shuk or whatever and get a fresh squeezed pomegranate juice. So that's what I'm drinking. So I'm gonna start to dig in. How are you guys enjoying your platters? Let's jump back over to somebody. Let's jump over to Maddie.
Yeah, I am very much enjoying my platter. Try to share. As you can see,
What's
the
your
feta went over very well. I ate a lot of it.
What's your favorite so far?
Definitely the feta. That's my favorite so far. It goes very well on crackers. I think it would also be really good in like salads, that kind of stuff.
I eat salads all the time.
You have it in salads all the time?
Yeah, this is my like go-to.
This is the first time I've ever had it. I've seen it all the time, but I never tried it before until now. So I'm very glad I did. The tree line ones are also very good. Miyoko's is one of my favorite brands. I use it all the time. I also really like their butter.
They're butter.
Very good. Yeah.
Great.
Hits all around. I love all of them.
So your favorite so far is the feta.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Let's jump over to Samantha.
Hi. I'd say my favorite is the tree line pepper one. I think I like the compromise between sharp and mild. It's like a nice middle point.
Cool. Nice. Andrew?
The winner for me, they're all winners, and they all honestly, like, it's just a miracle that there's so many good vegan cheeses. This is just insanity how good these all are, and very dangerous for me to have them right in front of me with no supervision. But other than the video chat here, but the smoked English farmhouse by Miyoko's was, I think, my favorite. It was incredible. And Miyoko's, I love all these brands. And the Nut and Ordinary was good too. It's just sort of like a plain cheese spread, and it was great.
Cool. Or?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
The Miyoko's English smoked something. It was the best vegan cheese I ever tasted. But you have to eat it with something like bread or like cherry tomatoes or cucumbers because it has a really strong taste. But it's amazing.
You mentioned before that you made a vegan goat cheese.
Yes.
Please, how did you do this?
So it's very easy, I think all the vegan cheeses recipes, everything that you need to have is a strong blender or a food processor. And if you are vegan and you're cooking, you probably already have it. So you just put all ingredients in the blender and just, blend it. And then you have to keep it like 12 hours.
Was it a nut base? Like, how did you do it?
So first of all, you can go on my Instagram page and you have the recipe there. But basically, it has cashews, lemon, some nutritional yeast, all the typical ingredients that you would have in a vegan cheese. And I added some pesto sauce into it. I must say that my non-vegan husband said that it like when I asked him, does it remind you of real goat cheese? He was like, but it's nice. So I think, if you're going vegan, you cannot really mimic the real one, but it does the work. Let's say that.
That's true, but I feel like you don't have to. In a lot of ways, you shouldn't, because there's been a lot of research that actually suggests that the reason people are so addicted to dairy is because, first of all, it's loaded with hormones, And it's basically like a growth fluid for baby, cows or goats or what have you. And you're over time, when you keep eating dairy, your mind and your taste buds get addicted to it. So my sister right now, she is, I guess, sort of transitioning to veganism. Like, she's mostly plant-based and mostly vegan, but every now and then she'll, eat something that might have like bread that might have egg in it. And she told me that over time, like, I think it's been about half a year for her, that she no longer likes, the cheese that she used to like. Like, she went to work events and she tasted something and she was like, it doesn't taste like it used to. It's not what I remember. It's not that great. So yeah, I think that, over time, your taste buds start to adjust and start to return to what they might have been before you got addicted to all of these. And there's also a lot of additives in regular cheese. There's a lot of additives, there's a lot of preservatives in a lot of things. So I think it's all about looking at nutrition, looking at food, as nutrition, and understanding that, people eat for a lot of reasons. They eat when they're happy, they eat when they're celebrating something, they also eat when they're depressed, they also eat when they're down. So I think you need to re-examine food and look at it as nutrition. And if you look at it as nutrition, how are you nourishing your body with the food that you're putting into it? And how are you nourishing your soul with the food that you're putting into it? Then I think, if you have that outlook and, you experiment and see what you like, a lot of things that I make, I try to like keep the flavors of the original thing, but without being exact. So for instance, I made it already, but I'm gonna make it again, a quiche for Shavuot. And so what I did with that, I used garbanzo beans, and I used pine nuts, and I used this feta cheese. It was a spinach feta quiche, and I used za'atar. I put za'atar on it. So it kind of had all the flavors of the Middle East without any of the animal products. And I gave it to my mom, who is my biggest critic in veganism, and she thought it was delicious. So that said a lot for me. Is there anyone I didn't ask your favorites? There's so many of you. I'm trying to think back. Is there anyone I didn't ask? No? Okay. So let me ask you guys. Oh, Rabbi Gross, you wanted to say something? We can't hear you.
It's what you said is excellent. Regular cheeses I was not into, but looking at everyone's platter, like I was trying to reach into your screen and grab some of that, because exactly what you said, Raquel. It's plant-based. I don't. It just tastes better. I truly was not interested in cheeses. The only cheese I liked was cream cheese and feta. And I had to break away from that. But now when I cook food, usually I use cashews, and you can also use nutritional yeast to get that really cheesy flavor. So these are some of the things but I usually add it into food as opposed to just eating a slice or something like that. Can I add something? It's sort of a public service message. The reason that most of us, celebrate Passover and Sukkot is because there's a lulav to shake, there's matzah to eat. But Shavuot, okay, so now we made some cheese platters. That's very nice. And the reason we made them is because there was no traditional article to which to attach to the holiday. The reason for that is because we received the Torah. You're supposed to learn Torah. So one of the things that I'm finding that is so wonderful is that people who grew up less traditional, maybe they didn't go to yeshiva, maybe they didn't learn too much. What they're finding is that there's a resonance with their beliefs and their practices and some of the things that are in the Torah. Oh, really? Do you know that there are over 20 commandments in the Torah about how we conduct ourselves with animals? It's amazing. And so what they're finding is that there's a resonance that they didn't know about with their beliefs and what they've come to in life, and it marries with the ideals of the Torah. So they're starting to learn about it. So when you ask the question about how does milk, how do we interpret milk? I actually translated a book that from an Israeli rabbi who went back through 3,000 years of Jewish learning, from the Torah to the Tanakh to the Gemara and everything, and distilled out all of the Jewish plant-based values. And in my videos on YouTube, you can link to that book. I did the translation of it. So I knew that there was a reference to answer this question. All the serious theological plant-based questions are answered. So just very quickly, the milk, numerous commentaries, famous ones, refer to the milk, the milk that the plants give off, that they're overflowing with juices, and those juices are compared to the milk of the plants, or the milk of the land. It's not of animals. So if you go to my videos and you see the link of the book, it's a PDF that you can download. It's free. Just search for milk. You will find things that will blow your mind. Some of the greatest rabbis talking about plant-based values. Just very quickly, there was a rabbi in the late 1800s in Europe who, if you read his writing today, you think he's with us in 2020. He sounds, and he was the only vegan plant-based person in Europe in 1880. Who else did he have to talk to except his notebook, which he wrote in? And they found that the writer of this book found his writing in a dusty corner of a Tel Aviv library in a box. And he breathed life into this writing. So all of this is found. So anyway, the public service message is, many people are finding relevance in the Torah that we received 3,500 years ago with the plant-based values. So it's available to everyone. So go for it.
I appreciate you saying that the holiday is about Torah study, because in Israel, or you can also speak to this as well, one of the trends, especially among younger people, is this all-nighter that they follow. So they start, like, you come, you wear white, you bring your wine, and then you dive into either the Book of Ruth or some other portion all night. And because there's this Kabbalistic saying that when the Torah was given, we couldn't wait.
We were sleeping.
So we fell asleep. So now we have to give up on Shavuot this whole night to show our appreciation for the giving of the Torah.
Right.
So yeah, that's a big practice in Israel. I did it once or twice when I lived back home. I see you did that too, Samantha?
I'm sorry?
No, I said, Samantha, you're also saying that I don't think you can see her. Hang on. Are you there? I can hear you. I can't see you.
Hi, I was saying that I've done the staying up really late at night here too. I don't think I've stayed up all night long, but I have stayed up pretty late and
What
studied.
did you study?
I studied Ruth usually, the Book of Ruth. Yeah, with a women's study class.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Hmm.
Rabbi Gross, someone is asking what was the name of the European rabbi?
Yes, the European rabbi. You haven't heard of him. Let me see if I can find it. Oh gosh, it was a while back but he's all over the book.
While you look for that, I just want to invite our audience. This is meant to be interactive. So please comment, where are you guys from? Where are you tuning in today from? And what's on your cheese platter? Or what is something you're going to be enjoying for Shavuot, or a tradition that you have?
Happen straight.
I also want to ask you guys just to go around quickly and kind of ask for your tips for anyone who may be newly vegan or transitioning. Rabbi Gross, did you find it?
Yes, Rabbi. His name was Rabbi Yitzchak Habenstreit.
Okay.
Habenstreit.
That's the question, Larry.
So you can look for him in the book. That's the only place you're going to find his reference. But he is outspoken.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
Okay, so I want to jump around to everyone. Let's talk pizza. What has been your experience, and what's the best vegan cheese for pizza? Let's start with who's here. Or
to be honest, as a kid in Israel, we have that thing that whenever your parents are lazy with dinner, they just grab pita bread or pita in Hebrew, and they cut it and they just put ketchup if they're really lazy, or tomato sauce, and then they just put cheese on it and they put it in the oven, and it is absolutely delicious. So after I became vegan and I was a student with a low budget and no time at all, it became my favorite dinner. So I used to take pita bread and I put some tomato sauce on it. I mixed it with some olive oil and oregano, and I took whatever vegan cheese I had. If it was in Israel, we have a few brands there. If it's here, I really think that I forgot the name of the brand, but maybe you can help me. It's called Dahlia or Daya.
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 Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so I think their crushed cheese or something like that is the best one for pizza. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Samantha?
I'd say there are a couple I really like for pizza. One is the mozzarella by Miyoko's is really good for pizza. And if you want more of like mixed cheddar and mozzarella, Trader Joe's has a really good one that melts very well.
I haven't tried anything from Trader Joe's. Interesting. Okay, Maddie?
Maybe Maddie's gone. Ah, there she is.
Hey, Maddie?
Hey,
For vegan
I
pizza?
also agree with Or. I think Daya for at-home pizzas is definitely the best. I know that might not be a popular opinion. Some people don't like Daya, but I really like Daya. But the best success that I've had with like pizzas going out is when pizza places use Follow Your Heart cheese, like shreds. Every pizza place that I've like absolutely loved getting pizza from has used Follow Your Heart. But I haven't had much success at home using their shreds. So I don't know what that's about.
Okay, I actually agree with the Follow Your Heart. I'm not really a pizza person, but if I make it for my family or something, so I will use Follow Your Heart or Miyoko's. Personally, I like Miyoko's. It tastes very less cheesy and more nut-ish, if that's a thing. So Miyoko's is my favorite, but kids and my other like sisters and stuff like that, they all love Follow Your Heart. When I do the Follow Your Hearts, I'll do like half of a block of mozzarella and half of like a cheddar and mix them together, and it really gets like a real pizza flavor. So yeah, what about you, Andrew? What would you recommend for pizza?
I have studied this quite a bit, and I use the word study, but it really means I've eaten a lot of vegan cheese, and for me, I tend to agree that Daya is the best, and so is Follow Your Heart shreds. But one thing I will say about Daya is, when I bring up Daya, a lot of people say, "Oh, I've tried it and I didn't really like it," or they had something wrong with it. But these companies that make all these vegan cheeses, they're constantly trying to improve their recipe. And Daya, basically, like, you actually might see, you have to sort of like read in the fine print, but they actually have like two varieties of like all of their cheeses. They have like their original recipe, and then they have it's called the cutting board recipe. And the cutting board one, people seem to really like, but so if you've tried Daya once before and you didn't like it, I would say try the cutting board version. But the shredded Daya cheeses, either the original or cutting board, I love them both. And the Follow Your Heart also, I've noticed that a lot of pizza places have started to use the Follow Your Heart shreds as well, and it's really great. And there have been times where I've been like, this is goes across the board. It's even a lot of the vegan meat things where I'm at a restaurant and then I'm like wondering, did they actually put real cheese on this? Because like I can tell this is
You cut out.
my headset.
I think you were saying that that a lot of pizza places use Follow Your Heart. I will say that the same thing I've heard about diet, that they have a new range now. So like a couple years ago, it wasn't that great, and people kind of complained about it, and a lot of people said it tastes kind of cardboardish. But I've heard that recently they really improved the recipe, and they launched a line of new cheeses that have really been getting a lot of love from like pizza lovers and things like that. I want to take a couple of questions from the audience. I see people are watching from Portland, people are watching from Texas. Hello to you. Someone in Texas is going to be pulling an all-night tour study tomorrow night. Lovely. Let's see what else. Oh, people are asking best vegan yogurts. Do you guys have any recommendations on that? Ooh, what is that platter that just popped up?
Andrew, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Maddie, if you can hear me, why don't you go first?
Okay.
Great.
So I'm super picky about yogurts. I didn't grow up liking yogurts at all. I had a bad like reflex when I would eat yogurts most of the time. Didn't like them. And then I thought when I started eating vegan yogurts, I would give another try. The first ones on the market, didn't like at all. The first ones I tried. But I recently gave Silk's Oya yogurts a try, and I absolutely love them. I used to not be able to eat yogurt at all without like things added into it, like granola or any like fruit or something added in. But I can eat these plain, like with nothing added in. They're so good. They come in tons of different flavors: vanilla, mango, strawberry, mixed berry. I love the mango. The mango is so good. So that's my number one recommendation for yogurt, and actually one of the only yogurts that I like.
Can I ask you a question though? One of the biggest problems, and I finally figured out, is making raita. I love Indian food, and to make raita, you need non-sweet yogurt, and so I've started making it from cashews, and what I do is I use some apple cider vinegar, a little bit of lemon juice, and salt to sort of turn it away from the sweetness to get it to be a little bit of a little bite on it. But I'm at a loss when it comes to that. But it took me years to figure that out, how to do it.
One of my favorite yogurts is Forager, and they have a really excellent just unsweetened plain yogurt that works for everything. I use it to create my sauce for pasta if I make it. I add pine nuts and nutritional yeast, and it's amazing. You can use it in Indian food. I don't really know that much about Indian food, but people have told me it's a good dupe. And they also have other like vanilla, strawberry, whatever, but their plain yogurt is a great dupe for if you whatever you put sour cream in before, you can use Forager yogurt for this. The consistency is good. The taste is it's no additives, it's not sweet at all. It's completely unsweetened. I see some people are saying that Kite Hill yogurt is really delicious. A lot of people like Kite Hill yogurt and also cream cheese. I actually tried this one. I don't know if you guys can see. And I, like Maddie, was not really a yogurt person. So this is Harmless Harvest. They do coconut water, which is my favorite coconut water. And now they have a yogurt. They have several flavors. I think this is the vanilla, but they also have an unsweetened one that works really well when you want to like use it for something else, like a sauce or combining. But this is amazing. I eat this, like you're saying, Maddie, just like this. Usually I'll put like shredded almonds into it or something like that, but this is amazing. So if anyone hasn't tried this is really good.
Can we just step back here and realize the options that we have? This is amazing. Imagine, roll back about 5 years ago even.
Of course.
You have nothing. And it's unbelievable. It's amazing.
It's an amazing time.
You don't have to give up anything. So much. That's no fun. I like giving stuff up. I like it to be hard.
Well, now I think people really have no excuse.
Exactly. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
We're in amazing times. I actually started taking pictures. I went to the milk section and I stood back and I started taking pictures of all the plant-based stuff. I like filled up my camera card. There's there was over 30 products, 30, 40 products. It's because that's where the money is. It wouldn't happen unless there was money in it. So that's great news. It's happening.
Demand.
that's sort of why I didn't answer the vegan yogurt question, because there are so many. And honestly, I just kind of go, and when I walk through that part of the supermarket, I might, pick one or two random ones, and they are all good. I do think if I had to pick one, I would say the Silk is really good, but I haven't tried their oat milk one yet that Maddie was talking about. But it is just incredible, the variety out there. And I know for unsweetened Rabbi Gross, and maybe this would be helpful in recipes. The ones people said I agree with as well, because I've seen that they have unsweetened varieties, Kite Hill and Forager. I've been noticing, I've been seeing more on the shelves.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Or do you have any yogurt suggestions?
And sometimes, when I go grocery shopping, it's always on Whole Foods, and sometimes they don't have it. So there is a cheap option, which is so delicious. They're okay, but I think there are much more. I'm not sure, but I think that you can find this brand in more places than Forager.
Yeah, Forager you can find in like Whole Foods, and if you have Instacart, then you kind of have more options of where to find things. I think we have from Target too, but yeah. What about, before we go, ice cream? What are your favorites with ice cream? Anybody?
I think I have a pretty strong opinion on this, in that I think it's got to be the Ben and Jerry's non-dairy line is top notch. But again, it's almost like the variety. I hate to choose because you can't really go wrong. I mean, it's just like incredible what they're making these days. But like the Ben and Jerry's, there's like a peanut butter cookies and cream something or other that's got like all of my favorite flavors mixed into one delicious treat. And yeah, I can't have that one in the house.
I agree with Andrew. I think the Ben & Jerry's for like flavored ice cream is definitely the best. They have a ton of just really good flavors. But I was also just going to add, I make things like milkshakes, and sometimes I just want like a plain vanilla. And the Trader Joe's has a really good like soy vanilla plain ice cream that I also can like cover with rainbow sprinkles or chocolate syrup if I just want to make like a old-fashioned sundae. So that's really nice too. So I like to have the option of just doing whatever I want with ice cream too.
I'm gonna have to go with Target, Archer Farms. They have 4 or 5 vegan ice creams, but you have to be careful because they always have the milk and the vegan, one shelf away, and if there's a telltale sign, to distinguish, but you can easily get, mixed up. But they have 4 or 5. They have all sorts of, and there's not a long list of ingredients. That's what's good. Ben & Jerry's was a bit too long for my liking, but and it's like $3.69 for a pint. I mean, they're lights out. So that's where my vote goes.
Samantha?
Hi. Yeah, I'd say my favorite vegan ice cream is Van Leeuwen's. It comes from New York, and it's very rich and expensive. But I like the pistachio one.
Yes, tried that.
Yeah, it's really good. And then I'd say for yogurt, since I didn't get to say, this is one that's sort of not out there that much. It's called Culina, Culina. It's a coconut-based one. It's really good.
I've tried that one too. Speaking of coconut base, my all-time favorite is Coconut Bliss. And they used to have it in Whole Foods. And then they had like the whole range in Whole Foods, and they even had like chocolate popsicles and all kinds of stuff. Then they started, like, the chocolate popsicles weren't there anymore. And then they started like, not the chocolate, not the coconut, until now they don't have it at all. If you live in an area where there's Safeway, they have it in Safeway. So otherwise you can like order it online, but I was very, very disappointed about that. I see we're kind of running behind on time, but I do want to ask, because this is the US and it is Shavuot, about cheesecake. Maddie, you said you have a recipe, and then if anybody has either a quick recipe tip to share or their favorite commercial one that you can buy. Maddie?
Sorry, my dog is trying to eat my cheesecake.
I see it.
Yeah, this is my cheesecake. I've already eaten some of it.
Wow, beautiful.
The recipe will be up on my blog tonight, probably a little bit after our conversation ends today. It is not too difficult to make. It was actually kind of fun to make, I think.
Was it your first time, or do you do cheesecakes a lot?
What'd you say?
Was it your first time, or do you do cheesecakes a lot?
So I made cheesecakes growing up, not like a not vegan version with my dad. Living in New York, we really liked New York cheesecake. And so that was like one of our favorite desserts growing up. My dad still loves cheesecake. And so I decided that I really wanted to make it this year, try to make it vegan. His birthday is actually yesterday, the 26th. I didn't get to see him. He lives in North Carolina. But I told him that, the next time I see him, I was going to make him a cheesecake for his birthday, a late birthday present. So yeah, and this is just made with tofutti cream cheese and some coconut milk and a few other ingredients. Yeah, and you just use a hand mixer to make it and bake it in the oven. And it's super creamy. I think it's really delicious. I hope you all think it's delicious too. Yeah, it took me 2 tries to get the recipe perfect, I think. Well, get satisfied with the recipe, I would say. I'll probably still be tweaking it for a while, but yeah. Yeah, I'm happy to answer questions about it, but I know probably other people want to talk about their cheesecakes that they love too.
So anybody that wants to get that recipe, because it looks awesome, make sure to visit your Instagram page, the
Yes.
Jewish Vegan Letter Today. Anybody else making a cheesecake? Or buying a cheesecake that their go-to?
Yeah, I made a cheesecake. I haven't actually tasted it yet, so I hope it comes out well. But it's made with silken tofu as the main ingredient and some coconut milk and other things. So, and I also use carob syrup instead of chocolate because I like carob.
Interesting. Are you gonna post that?
Yeah, you can keep your eye out. I'll post it soon.
Okay. We have someone sharing a recipe from our audience with us now, I think. There's a recipe here, someone sharing for a cheesecake. Thank you. I'm not sure who shared it though. Valerie. Thank you, Valerie, for this recipe. Apparently it's a raw cheesecake. If there are any raw vegans out there, this is great for you. How can we find this recipe? Or maybe we'll list any of the recipes that we talked about here later on. I see Heidi. Hi, Heidi. Heidi says that she made the Minimalist Baker vegan cheesecake recipe today. She doesn't know how it is because she'll taste it tomorrow. Okay, sounds great. Okay, I have a recipe, like I said, that I made for quiche, a vegan quiche, which will be up on my page, at the Vegan Maven, later, probably tomorrow. Andrew, I didn't ask you about cheesecake. I'm sure you have something to say.
I didn't make a cheesecake, and I don't really have a go-to recipe, but I do. Cheesecake is one of my favorite foods. I say that about a lot of food, that it's my favorite food, but cheesecake, I really mean it. And yeah, I've had raw ones that have been amazing. I'd say my one sort of DC specific thing is, I think it's Busboys and Poets that has vegan cheesecakes on the menu, on the dessert menu, and because I think I have some good memories of eating really delicious vegan cheesecake
Is
there.
it a specific location or just across the board, busboys?
I usually go to the one that's on 14th Street, but I would imagine that I know they have the same menu pretty much at all the locations, which I know there's some in all parts of DC, Northern Virginia. So I would definitely check that out. They have a great vegan menu. Although, speaking of cheese, they used to have this amazing vegan mac and cheese on the menu, but I think I was like one of the only people ordering it because they took it off the menu. But I have to say it was arguably the best vegan mac and cheese that I've ever had at a restaurant. And I don't know, they got rid of it, but they, ask for it next time you go, and hopefully enough people they'll bring it back.
Or if you want to recreate it at home.
It's exactly.
Let me just check if there's any more questions or comments. I do want to say to anybody who is new to veganism and celebrating Shavuot vegan for the first time, you can always check out jewishveg.org. They have a lot of resources there explaining the connection between veganism and Shavuot, or Jewish veganism and Shavuot. And they have recipes, they have tips on how to do a vegan Shavuot. I will also want to mention that Shavuot, I feel like it's a holiday that doesn't get enough love because it is one of the 3 major holidays in Judaism. But everybody's all about Passover and everybody's all about Sukkot. But Shavuot, I feel like people don't, have enough traditions around it and don't talk about it enough. And that's kind of one of the reasons we wanted to do this today, to share, kind of what we're doing, what we're eating, and a little bit of background on it. Do you have any other questions or anything? I don't see any at the moment. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to be with us today. Thank you all for your beautiful platters and all of your tips. I think it was really fun. We should, again, do it again. This is our second time, and I think it went really well. So if you guys want to do it again, let's plan for the next holiday, or maybe do a cooking demo or something if people want to do that. I don't want to miss anyone's question before we go. I don't see anything else. So yes, thank you again to all of you for joining us. Thank you to the audience for participating. We really appreciate that. I hope everybody has a safe, healthy, plant-based Shavuot, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.